Numerology. Can we talk numerology in real life and how looking at the decades and what has gone on during each decade will teach you numerology and then why this numerology rulership is not real. Mercury's not 5. Uranus doesn't rule 4. Look at the 50s. When Pluto was in Leo, the 5th sign, it was transforming the world in a Leonian way, and we got the golden age of Hollywood. The 60s, the number 6, Virgo. Pluto was in Virgo, the 6th sign. What are the 60s known for? That's when globally we made the most medical progression, the most medical advancements ever. The birth control pill, Medicare, Medicaid, the first successful liver transplant, the first successful kidney transplant. The 70s, when Pluto went into Libra, okay? The 70s, 7, the 7th sign. The Vietnam War protesting, peace. Jimmy Carter, a Libra, building global relationships. The 80s, 8, Scorpio, debt, Reaganomics. Reagan, he left the country in so much debt when he left his presidency. Thriller, Michael Jackson, 1984, the best-selling album ever. 80s, horror. And let's stop there with the 70s, because, I wrote a book on Pluto, okay, called Pluto in Real Life. Did you get it? If not, go to my page, go to the link, go to my Patreon to read the book for free. But, okay, so first of all, 7, Libra, peace, the 70s. There's so many representations of Libra and 7. First of all, Pluto is politics, okay? Jimmy Carter, a Libra, okay? Margaret Thatcher, a Libra. Okay, Margaret Thatcher enforced balance by being the first female prime minister to be a prime minister. Libra opposes Aries. Libra does it first too, but to enforce balance. Then when you read up on Margaret Thatcher, and this stuff has nothing to do with astrology. This is how you learn astrology. You research humanity. Margaret Thatcher, her appearance and her voice, the people hated it. Libra. How she appealed to the people. She took voice classes to change her voice. She started changing her appearance. Jimmy Carter, a Libra, enforcing peace and building relationships. And when you read up on his presidency and how his presidency was received amongst other politicians and government people, again, outside of astrology, you see that he was great at building relationships, but when it came to the home front, the Aries, his own, where he had to lead without building relationships, he was indecisive and apathetic. Libra, the whole 70s. And you know what? Let's go to my book, okay? I'm gonna read it. Jimmy Carter, the Libra. As I stated previously, Pluto's first and easiest task was ending the Vietnam War. After striking that off its list, Pluto began to power through the world through Libra's influence. Through the eyes of Pluto and its rulership over politics, and through its shift into Libra, we see the political focus of the entire world shift from service to the people and medical advancement, and the working class to creating peace, treaties, and liberating nations and liberating women. This brings us to President Jimmy Carter, who, quite eerily, is a Libra sun. Is it not completely wild that Pluto's transit through Libra brought in a Libran president? And is it not completely wild that, by far, Jimmy Carter used the powers of diplomacy and peace to advance his political goals more than any other president? That was Jimmy's entire angle. In fact, one of Jimmy Carter's most notable achievements was creating peace between Egypt and Israel. Britannica Encyclopedia writes, Carter's most noted achievement was to sponsor a great step toward peace in the Middle East. In September 1978, he met with the Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israel Prime Minister Menachem Begin at a 2-week negotiating session at Camp David, Maryland. And on September 17th, 177, Carter announced that 2 accords had been signed establishing the terms for a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. Further torturous negotiations followed before the peace treaty was signed in Washington, D.C. on March 26, 1979. 9, Sagittarius, global affairs. 7, the 70s, peace. Now, listen to the other side of Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, the Libra, continued. Although Carter was heavily focused on creating peace in the Middle East and strengthening relationships between the U.S. and the rest of the world, at home, on the other side of his Libran scale, he also illustrated other popular themes of undeveloped Libra: laziness, apathy, and indifference. When you research Carter's pregnancy, you'll find that he didn't have the best relationship with Congress, and he had a hard time inspiring public confidence. Libra's ability to harmonize is spiritual, but that spiritual gift puts a damper on Libra's ability to make decisions. Libra is the most indecisive energy in the zodiac, and one of the biggest complaints of President Carter is the fact that he changed course frequently. He could never decide which way to go. Because of his inability to stay the course, Jimmy Carter failed at a few core missions, which reduced his popularity with the people. First of all, baby, I can write. Baby, I know how to write. This Virgo South Node. Okay, did you get it, baby? Because I wrote it. If not, go ahead and read it. But now let's take it to the 80s. Reaganomics and how much debt Mr. Reagan left. Was it Reagan? Yeah. How much debt Mr. Reagan left. In fact, let's read about it because I wrote about it. Let's talk, baby. Let's talk. Where we at? Read my book. It's good. I haven't read it in so long, and I'm so proud of myself. Reaganomics. If you assess the major differences of political focus as it pertains to the Jimmy Carter presidency versus Ronald Reagan's, you'll see that, as we stated in the previous chapter, as Pluto was transiting Libra, Jimmy Carter focused on international partnerships and agreements. He focused on creating peace and harmony during the aftermath of the Vietnam War. Quite differently, however, the focal point of Reagan's presidency was money. Taxes. Reaganomics. Remember, Pluto and Scorpio rule other people's money, the power we all have to attract money from someone else's account to your own. The relationship we have with other people's resources as a whole. Taxes are literally other people's money as it pertains to the government. Aside from taxes and economic concerns, another focal point of Reagan's politics was the issue of inflation, rising unemployment, and defense. Baby, then bring it to the 90s. Sagittarius, baby. Growth, truth, information, globalization. So what's funny is Neptune was in Sagittarius while Pluto was in Libra in the 70s, facilitating Pluto's mission to, bring the world together. Neptune dissolving Sagittarius international boundaries. Then Pluto went into Sagittarius. That's when we got the internet. And do y'all know the book, The World is Flat? It was written by who? I wrote about it in my book, y'all. Read this book, baby. This thing is good here. Hold on, let me see. The World is Flat. The World is Flat is a book written by Thomas Friedman in 2005. I reference it because the book couldn't be any more reflective of Pluto's transit through Sagittarius, as the book is literally about globalization and the effects of globalization on society. And it was written toward the end of Pluto's transit through Sagittarius, practically summing it up in many ways. Pluto went into Capricorn in 2000. In his book, Friedman asserts that through globalization and world efforts to unify, the world was becoming, flat, meaning that international relations were becoming easier all across the world. In his book, he lists 10 flatteners that include outsourcing, Netscape, informing, insourcing, and voice over IP. Specifically about informing, Friedman writes, never before in the history of the planet have so many people on their own had the ability to find so much information about so many things and about so many other people. And there you have it. He was summing up Pluto's transit through Sagittarius and didn't even know it. I didn't write about the 2000s, but baby, 2000, okay? We went from the 90s to 00, which is Pisces, okay? And what happened in 2001? And then you got 20, that's Scorpio, destruction. But Pisces is tragedy. And 9/11, get the book, go to the Patreon. I love you, bye.